Truth be told, I don't play a lot of video games. I know my way around Mario Kart and I've played some of the Zelda games, but for the most part, it just wasn't really my thing. But what I do enjoy very deeply is watching YouTube video essays where someone explains the plot of a very niche video game to me. And one such video game that has a plethora of content online is Pathologic, which is a Russian indie game that's sort of set in this folk horror town where you can choose to play one of three protagonists. And so I got the very fun idea of redrawing the main characters as cute girls, because that also is a very common trope on YouTube.com, and I thought I'd throw my hat into the ring of the genre. So without further ado, get ready for the redesign of these three characters, starting off with Number 1, the Bachelor. Of the three characters that you play as, they all have the same goal, which is essentially to stop this deadly plague that is killing everyone inside the small town in the Russian steppes. And so the first character most people play as is the Bachelor, aka the Bachelorette. And he's this college-age student that's very uppity, he's extremely rude, and he looks down at all the locals as superstitious, a very logical sort of fellow. So in channeling those vibes into a cute curl design, I was like, we're kind of doing goth, dark academia, mean girl. You know what I'm saying? A little bit of vibes of, you know, that vampire from Resident Evil, that sort of mommy energy that you want to step on your throat, but also meets Haley from Stardew Valley. Am I making any sense? We are channeling rich and privileged. Do you understand now? I wanted all her clothes to reflect those key elements into her design itself. So her red velvet vest, she has this exaggerated collar like it's fresh off of a couture fashion runway show. She has a trench coat made with real snakeskin, wink wink, that tells you a lot about her character. I didn't come up with that myself. The original used snakeskin as well. But, I contributed by making her have these fabulous shoulder pads that make her look like she owns 95% of this company. But anyway, in the video game, she's very much aligned with the elites of the town who send her on errands for money and is considered the easy mode, quote unquote, when you first play the game. And throughout the course of your playthrough, you'll run into the other two characters that are playable, and they're also running around doing their wacky shenanigans in order to try to save the town. I'm obsessed with this asymmetry. I think it's so cool because it's something that can only really happen in like Dungeons and Dragons and video games. You know, you unlock the sad ending or the happy ending or the mixed results ending. Those kind of things are very like satisfying to know that the choices that I made impacted the results that I got. So we're reaching the end of this character. We're just putting in all of the flat colors before we do the rendering. There's that snakeskin I mentioned earlier, and I really wanted to challenge myself because there are just three characters here to go all out with the rendering and just add as much detail to the skin and textures as possible. And I'm really happy with how it turned out. I just use these shadows and I add some like paint splashes on the background green just to add a little bit of depth to the final image. And yeah, I think it came out really well. So now we're going to jump into the next character, who is considered the hard mode character of the playthrough, which is number 2, the Harus Specs. What is a Harus Specs? I'm glad you asked. A Harus Specs is a Roman term for a person who interprets omens, typically through augury, which is like fortune telling by reading animal entrails. This perfectly captures the tone of the Harus Specs run. So when you play as this character, you're immediately wanted by the law for the murder of your father, a crime you did not do, but you cannot convince anyone that you didn't. And so you're trying to avoid being arrested the whole time, and even just average Joes off the street will try to murder you for being a murderer, I guess. To kind of portray that disheveledness, I gave her these 2 long braids that are kind of messy. Like, obviously I don't have time for this to be immaculate. There are a lot of flyaways in it because I'm running for my life. And you could see I gave her a more cool stylized jacket, but I was like, this girl is poor. She is aligned with the common people. So I just gave her, a cute little sweater to keep warm. And I even made her surgeon apron, kind of patchwork, as if she had to like get it off the streets or make it herself. Another interesting thing about this character is that she's biracial and is actually descended from the Mongolian people who were indigenous to these steppes before the Russians came in, and they have a really big influence on the religion through their bull worship. But the original character just looks like a white guy, so I made sure that my design actually looks like a person who is half Mongolian instead of a white girl. And I think that this character is fascinating because she does practice the folk religion. She has a lot of access to the bodies in order to make a literal cure for the plague of the town, whereas the Bachelor really looks down on this kind of medicine and doesn't even think it's real. And joke's on you, because in the Harus Specs playthrough, you can literally find a cure for the disease instead of just a vaccine. So instead of just preventing people from getting the deadly virus, you can actually save the people who are already infected with it. And I just think that that's neat. And also, I had a lot of fun sort of coloring the character. A lot of the reference images for the Harus Specs were kind of like very pixelated. I don't know, I probably could have found better quality images, but I went with these earth tones and olive greens to really kind of get the point across that this is a character from the earth and is sort of more holistic and naturalistic compared to the bright red velvet and satin, like unnatural fibers that were used in the design of The Bachelor. I just felt like those juxtapositions against one another really works very well. I didn't give her a prop. I just sort of have her wiping some blood off of her face, and there's a cut on her cheek, and I felt that sort of lets you know that this girl is actually getting dirty and is getting into tumbles with people, and even her stance is wider, like she's more ready for a fight compared to The Bachelor. And I love this REM lighting, y'all. I really popped off on the rendering of the Harus Specs. I am very proud of myself. I love all the textures that I put on the apron and the clothes. And yeah, now I'm just drawing another infamous hand. It's always some trials and tribulation. But yeah, I have her sort of wiping this blood off her cheek, and I love how I rendered that with just some bright graphic red, but not too much, just enough. And yeah, now we're going to move on to the third and final character, which is number 3, the Changeling. So the Changeling is the only character who is a literal child and is already a cute girl. So in terms of doing a redesign, this is my AU where the Changeling's life is great. She's not an orphan. She, I don't know, goes to Paris on the weekends to visit her rich grandmama. And so I'm going to be drawing her in like a pea coat with a little purse because her life is very tragic and I just want only good things for her. She's a literal child who is considered to be a healer and is sort of believed by the town to be a miracle worker. And I'll be honest, she's very confusing. I've watched several playthroughs sort of explaining the lore of the series, and the Changeling still kind of confuses me a little bit, but basically she runs around town and there's another girl who looks identical to her that's causing problems, and she has to find this girl and be like, stop causing problems and fix the things that this girl is making wrong, which is, hate that for her. She doesn't deserve it. So in my AU, she has a twin sister who's, a bad girl, but she's the good girl. And maybe her twin sister is evil. I don't know. But I just want her to be happy and to go visit her grandmama in Paris. I've watched a lot of the Anastasia movie, which also features Russian oligarchs fleeing to Paris, which is very fun. But she's not an oligarch. She's just this poor girl in town that may or may not have magical healing powers. In the game, her section was sort of unfinished because, like several companies, they were under crunch when developing the video game, and in order to get the product out on time, her storyline suffered a little bit because of that, as well as just budget issues in general. And for her color scheme, I just looked at the colors from the graphics I could find of her, her, which was like this maroon hat, and I gave her this sort of blue pea coat. But the rendering of the face is a little haunting. I don't know, there's something unsettling about it. I did kind of give her very tired eyes. So the rendering is to make up for the wholesome, nature of her cute little outfit. She is a bit haunted. And so you can see here, I'm just adding these soft colors that I'm going to erase later on. This is just to sort of give her a sense of a complexion and softness to the face. And then you can see here is where her eyes are getting so dark. I don't know, girl needs to have a nap. I play with the saturation a little bit, and then when I do her background color splattering, I made like this blood implication for the Harus Specs. For the Changeling, I give her this like big halo spotlight, so it just sort of invokes religious imagery, and these are the final 3 designs. Wow, we did it, folks. This video was really fun. I'll be honest, one of the reasons I made this is because I was watching the Fallout TV show, and I was like, wow, I want to watch videos about Fallout, which brought me to H-Bomber Guy's video, which then told me to watch the Pathologic video. So that's how we are here. Tell me down below in the comments which one of these 3 characters was your favorite redesign. Tell me headcanons you have of them, and if you want me to do this kind of trope of a video, like drawing blank as cute girls, what are some ideas that you have? Let me know in the comments down below, and if you would like to support the channel, you can always like, subscribe, and follow me on Patreon, link in the description, where for just $4 a month, you can have your name in the end credits. And speaking of end credits, here they are now. Special thanks to Anna Sophia Boyd, Axilius the Great, Bodhi, Blue Uwu, Kay Clark, Christopher, Dabadudu, Dax Quinn, Aaron Martin, Emma Wee, Gay Jairus, Jay Johar, JD Boy 2000, Johan, Kitsune Chibiko, Lucky Paradox, Melon, Mild Mothman, Mistake, Native Runner, Orion Amastasia, Pinecone, Potion Cellar Door, Rin, Scorching Ray, Sir Camelot, Smalls the Sax Jammer, Shenanigans, Tad the Turtle, Tarthalinor, The Real Michael, Thumper Daytime, Thony, Tortilla Chips, Tuesdays Anyways, Tundra Katie Bean, and Tuppence Pies. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Nathan, and I'll upload a new video real soon. Bye!